example, but so he has over there that why did Shem Bayichoi, there was a nest that it grew a tree of baksa and water. So why these two things? So he says over there, because the Rosh Tevis baksa is called charuvim, and water is called mayim, and the Rosh Tevis of charuvim and mayim is a memches, it's 48, and it's to be miramis that was stated quickly of is as a tighter nickness to memches the bottom, that through his being megala, the pnimis tighter, he was kind of tighter with all the memches to the highest level. And he says over there that Adam, Shem Bayichoi was Mesaken, the Chet of Adam Arishan.
He was Mesaken?
Yeah, what was Pshadi was Mesaken? He said because his Adam Arishan Chet was that he didn't follow Torah. So B'mela, he was called Adam, and he says Adam was mafrid because of his chet, he was going to miso olam. So Mela, from the word Adam, he said he was mafrid aleph, which stands for the Eibush Talupa Shel Olam, which stands for Torah, aleph Torah, aleph Bina, and so he was mafrid gebuten dam. Dam is the Indian of miso. He said, and Adam was misaken this through his Torah, because he brought back the aleph, he brought back the aleph chava, aleph bina. That's just so I said that could be shot in the Shiur of Ben Yechoi. There's a line over there, and the line says, "Nasa Adam, Nema Bavurecha." Of course, everyone's trying to figure out what it means over there. Nasa Nema Bavurecha. So according to this, that we're saying now that he was Mesaken the Chet of Adrisha, that was one of the things I spoke yesterday. Okay, let's see the Gemara here in Sotah. We're up to Daf. We're up to Daf Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis. Again, they're explaining the Mishnah. The Mishnah quoted all the things which are said b'chol lashon, and the things that are said in Lashon HaKodesh. One of the things that we said that was said in Lashon HaKodesh was the klolis u'brachos. What are the klolis u'brachos? I said last time. It doesn't mean the teichacha that's in the Torah, that's in next week's Pasha, but it means when the Yidden crossed over the Yarden going to Eretz Yisrael, so the Eibush said that they should stop in a certain place, and that place was Bein HaGrizim and Harevo, and over there the Leviim recited certain Baruch who will do this and Order who will do this. So that was said b'Lashon HaKodesh. Now, if you don't mind, go back to the Mishnah a minute. And in the Mishnah, the Gemara brings over here, brachos u'kolos ketzad. Actually, this piece of the Mishnah is going to be explained now. I just want to show something interesting. It says brachos u'kolos ketzad. How did it go? He says kivin shavri solas hayarden, when the Yidden crossed over the Yarden, ubo, when they came al hagrizim ha'eiro shebeshayimram shebetzat Shechem, that's near Shechem, she'etzel a meire is giving you a lot of simonim where it is. In case you don't know where it is, one simon, another simon. And how do we as I said, shenem eshet in pasuk halehema be'eva yarden, and not only are the be'eva, but if you look on the bottom over here, it quotes the pasuk.
Derech Mavaya Shemesh.
Yeah, you want to read it loud, please?
I was saying it by heart, I know where it is. Achrei Derech Mavaya Shemesh. Where are you reading it?
Halehema, by the little Daled, there's on the side of the Gemara, there's Torah Eir HaShalom that quotes the Psukim. He says, Halehema be'eva Yadin, Achrei Derech Mavaya Shemesh, be'eretz Aknani, Hayesh Barova, Mul HaGilgal, Eitzel Reina Moira. But you notice over here in the Mishnah, he adds a word that's not in the title. He adds the word Shechem also. He throws in another simon. That's a little bit strange. Why? So the Gemara is going to say that Reina Moira is Shechem. Okay? But in the Pasuk steht this not. I have a reason why I'm emphasizing this now. You'll see in the Gemara, you'll see what the problem is now.
In today's day and age, they have a Kabbalah that they call it now Har Bracha. That's what I've been there once.
The Goyim.
No, the Jews who live on that mountain say this is the Bracha.
Okay, so let's go over here now. Let's go now to the Gemara. Bracha Sukol is Ketzad is quoting this part that I just read from the Mishnah. Kimi shall be so say Yaldain V'chulu. So what the Gemara say? Turn it up on the bottom line. Halehema be'evra Yaldain. It says it is like if you don't know where it is in Eva Yadin. Now what does the word Eva Yadin mean? Eva Yadin means that there was a Yadin between Eretz Yisrael, the Midbar, where the Yidden were on the Midbar, and then there was a Yadin, and then you cross over the Yadin, you're in Eretz Yisrael. So the Yidden camped in many different places till they came to Eva Yadin. Eretz Yisrael is in Ma'ariv. That's why it's in the west. That's why when we daven to the east in order to get to the west, so to say. Okay. So now he says, what does it mean? He's going to explain the pasuk now. Me'eva Yadin v'elach. Eva Yadin can mean two things. It could mean, let's say, picture that the street outside is the Yadin, and let's say this side is one side of the Yadin, and the other side on Crown Street is the other side of the Yadin. So it could mean Eva Yadin could mean when you cross over the Yadin. That's one thing. Or Eva Yadin could mean it's all the way on the other side of the Yadin. That means it's far. It's by President Street. Okay. So now we're going to see that's a question of the Gemara now. So Rabbi Yehuda says, we got turn up on the bottom learn. What does that mean? Far over the Yadin, deep into Eretz Yisrael. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Now it says in the pasuk another simon. Achrei derech mevaya shemesh. What does that mean? Achrei derech mevaya shemesh. So you could teach. So he's teaching. That means mokim shachama zayrechas. He's teaching mevaya shemesh where the sun comes from. Now the sun rises in the east. Okay. If you say it's the sun now, if Eva Yadin was on the other side, that means Eva Yadin was in the west. Eva Yadin was the west, and you go deep into Eretz Yisrael, so you're in the east. Then it says, "Be'eretz haknani hayeshe barova, elu hagrizim v'had evel, sheyeshim behem kisuyim." The Kusim are living over there. This wasn't at the time when the Eibishter said it. There wasn't no Kusim. But later, there was a time when Sachedav made a churban in Eretz Yisrael, and he chased out the 10 Shvatim from Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael became empty. So he settled the Kusim in that area, to fill up that area. The Kusim were a group of people that they believed in Torah Shebeksav, but not in Torah Shebapeh. So they touched everything in the Torah literally. Like I always give the example. The Torah says by Shabbos, so they ate cold food on Shabbos. Why? We make chon. Why do we make chon? Because we want to fight to burn a whole night in Shabbos and cook a whole night, as long as it was prepared before Shabbos. They said you can't have a fire on. So Shabbos they sat in the dark. Shabbos was cold by them, they couldn't heat the houses. So everything, and it has also to do with this, right over here with this, and you will soon see. So he goes further. Mulha Gilgal, what does it mean, Mulha Gilgal? So he touches Samach Gilgal. It's deep in that you saw, so it's near Gilgal. And then he says, Eitzel Elena Mamre. It says Eitzel Elena Maida, but it was near Elena Maida. So he says that means Shechem. And I said, remember I told you before, it does not say in the Torah the word Shechem. That's Rabbi Yehuda's touches up that Elena Maida. How did Rabbi Yehuda get it that Elena Maida means Shechem? So the Gemara says, why? There's a Gzera Shava. Well, but there's another place that it says, Vayav Avram Ba'aretz. Ad Mekom Shechem, Ad Elon Moira. So Mala Halon, just like over there. Elon Moira, Ha'amor, Halon is Shechem, Afkan, Shechem. Okay? So now clear according to Rabbi Yehuda, everything's clear, right? Okay. Now, the Goyim, the Kusim, they don't accept a Gzera Shava, right? So what they did was, they have a Torah Shebiksav also. But sometimes they made some changes in the Torah Shebiksav. They wrote in the Torah Shebiksav, Eitzel Elon Moira Shechem. Okay? They put in the word Shechem. They can't say that they're giving credit because the Chachamim darshan of a Gzera Shava, because they don't believe in the Chachamim. So they state in the Torah, in your Torah, they'll say to the Jews, in your Torah it's missing, this is the way it's supposed to be. Comes again, the Tanya we learned, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Elazar said, B'dova zeh, this inyan over here, about the location, and the Maisa with Shechem, Ziyafti Sifrei Kusim. I proved that the Svarim, that the Kusim are false, are Mzuyaf, they're false. How did I do it? I said to them, Ziyaftim Teiraschem. You falsified your Torah. V'lo yalisam b'yetchem klum. And really, you didn't come up with anything good. Why not? Because She'atam Armim, you're saying Eloheinu Mamre Shechem, and you're saying as a state in the Torah, state is in the Torah. Af Anu Moedim, we also agree that Eloheinu Mamre Shechem, but Anu Lamdua B'Gzera Shava, Atam Mimai Lamadatum. How do you know that Eloheinu Mamre Shechem? So you wrote it in, and you say you don't believe in the Chachamim. Now, what's the difference if Eloheinu Mamre is Shechem or not Shechem? What's the difference? There's a big problem. The Har Evel and Har Zrizim are two mountains, but it seems like there are more than one Har Evel and Har Grizim. These Kusim, they made a Avodah Zarah over there by Har Grizim. They're Makav Kabbanas. They say because when the Yidden came to Eretz Yisrael, the Eibusha said you should make Kabbanas there. So they made that a holy place for Kabbanas. But the question is that really the place? Okay? So now he goes further. Rabbi Elazar says, it's not before was Rabbi Elazar, so Rabbi Elazar says, he interprets the pasuk different. Halehema be'vayalden means samach liyalden. Right? Halehema, he said, they're on the other side of the Yalden. Right, if I say on the other side of the street, I mean Crown Street or I mean President Street? I mean Crown Street. Right? That's the other side of the street. Then go further. The I me'ever hayadon ve'eloch. If you want to say that it means far away, if past the Yarden, I would say, it says when you will pass over the Yarden. It doesn't say that you'll pass over the Yarden and you'll go a few miles. It says when you'll pass over the Yarden. So it means right after the Yarden. And then they say, you know what Achei Derech Mevaya Shemesh means? Not the place from where the Shemesh comes from. It means where the Shemesh goes down. So, Mokum, that means Shahachama Shoy Kas, where it settles. The sun sets, comes up in the east and goes down in the west. It goes down in the west. So. Then it says. So as the sun comes, as your soul is in the east, like the Beis Hamikdash is in the east, and the beginning, the Yarden was the west. That's where the sun goes, that way to the Yarden. And then he says, Shaitan Pasuk, Be'eretz HaKna'ani. So if you'll say that it means Shechem is not Canaan, Shechem is Chivi. Because you find by the Ma'aseh with Dinah, when Ma'aseh with Dinah with the family of over there, so it said that they were Chiti, they were Chivi. So it can't be that it has to do with Shechem. And then it says Ayesha Barava, they're sitting in a plain. A plain is a flat piece of land. The people of Shechem is between mountains. Mul ha-Gilgal, you say it's near Gilgal, v'aloi lo es ha-Gilgal. You can't see the Gilgal if it's far away. So all this shows a different opinion, and b'meila, so it's not clear where it was exactly. You see that there's an opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and there's an opinion of Rabbi Elazar. Now, you Goyim, you say, well, we have it written in the Torah. It can't be have it written in the Torah. The Torah could have not meant Shechem if you translate the Psukim this way. And then the Gemara says, Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Aimer, he says that Bechal the Torah is not coming over here to tell you exactly where the place is. He says another pshat. He said, "Leba kosav alahares lehem derech b'shniya kiderech shehir lehem barishayna." That when the Eibush took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim, he had the Ananei covered leading the Yidden. The Ananei covered knew was a good GPS. When they went to Eretz Yisrael, they didn't have the Ananei covered already. So how would they know?
Where to go?
They had no GPS those days. So the Eibush gave them a tip what they should watch out. And he explains the pasuk. When you say derech, it says achrei derech be'eva yaden achrei derech. Said b'derech l'chul v'lei b'sodas ukrom. If you're travel on the road. Don't go into the side, because on the side, people could be ambushing, and you wouldn't know them. And when you come in, they'll chas v'shalom harm you. Hayoshev, it said Hayoshev, that's the city. That means b'yishav l'chu v'loi b'midbaris. Don't go into deserts. Go into inhabited areas. Ba'arava meant that ba'arava l'chul v'lei b'haram ugvois. Go in plain, straight field, because in a straight place you could see far what's ahead of you. And in haram ugvois, your vision is blocked. And according to this pshat, the rest of the pasuk, Egoine Shechem, has nothing to do with the location of it. It has to do later with they're traveling in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so we finished now. We have two opinions what it means, and when it gave to the kusim, being that there's two places, so who says that it's the one by Shechem? And maybe you ought to get it wrong. If you want to believe the Chachamim, which you don't want, then okay, go with Shechem. But you just made up that it's Shechem, you made it up on your own, so that's falsifying the Torah. Something more. How did the Eden pass the Yarden? They had to pass over the Yarden. It was a water. How did they pass over? Something more is like, every day, when the Eden were traveling in the Midbar, there were the Eden were divided in different groups. So this Gemara is going like, but there's an opinion, there's a question, how did the golem work? Some said that the golem was like a box, and that's one opinion. That's how it's seen. Pshuta Shamikra is that way, but there's an opinion that the Eden went one group behind the other group, for like four groups, and one with a space in between, and in between the first two groups was the Aron and the Kahanim and the Leviim. So he says, B'chol Yom Aron Neseya Acher Shnei de Golem V'Hayoim, and now when they had to go over the Yad, they go to Etzisor, Nosat Tchila, the Aron went in front, Shenema Hine Arim Abris Adain Kol Ha'aretz Oivel Lefnechem. That's one thing, that it went in front. Another thing, B'chol Yom V'Yom, every day Leviim Noisan Es Aron. The Leviim were the one, that was the job of the Leviim, was to carry, to dismantle the Aron and to carry all its parts. And Hayom, and now Nasu Kahanim. The Kahanim were the ones who carried the Aron. Shenem, the pasuk says, the Hoya Kenayach Kapes Ragli Kahanim Noise Aron. They said when the feet of when the Kahanim who are carrying the Aron will rest or will enter into the Yarden. So you see, said fresh and posting that the Kahanim are carrying the Aron. So the Gemara Tanya, we learn. Rabbi Yossi says, "V'shleisha mekaymis." There were three times in the Jewish history when Nosu Kahanim es Aron, when the Kahanim instead of the Leviim were the ones that carried the Aron. One was Kishar v'Sei Yadin, what we're learning about now. Another one was Kishahei Sivu es Yerichai, when they surrounded Yericha, state that the Kahanim walked around, they blew shayfa and everything, so they were carrying the Aron and blowing shayfa. And also, when they brought it back to its place, that means that listen, there was a Mishkan in Shilai, and when the Mishkan in Shilai was destroyed, so the Mishkan, the Aron went into Golis, and it was the place of Ovid Hagiti, and then David brought it back, and finally it was brought into the Beis HaMikdash. So when it was brought into the Beis HaMikdash, the Kahanim were the ones that carried in the Aron. V'kivan shenit b'lu raga Kahanim b'mayim, as soon as the Kahanim's feet touched the water, chozru hamayim l'achareim, the water, the Yarden, was flowing down into, there was water coming from the mountains into the Yarden. So it started to back up. Now, Shenema, u'kaboi noisei ha'aron ad ha'Yarden, vayamdu hamayim ha'Yarden milmayla, komu neid echad. They all stood like one wall. In other words, the water keeps flowing down the mountain. So what happened was, the flow stopped. Imagine, let's say, take an example, Chas v'Sholom, what happened in Miran. What happened in Miran? Last year, people were coming out. One guy fell, another one fell on top of him, another one fell on top of him. That's how they had the tragedy. Same thing over here also. The water keeps flowing, going into the Yarden, and then it streams along the Yarden. But when it stops, so the next piece of water falls on top of the first one, the next one falls on top, and you had a mountain of water. So the Gemara, V'kama Gaivan, what was the height of the water? How high did the water end up like a wall. So at the Gemara, Kama Gavin Shomayim, Shneim Osa Mil, 12 mil. Al Shneim Osa Mil. Keneged Machni Yisrael. That's the size of the Jewish camp, the whole spread of the Jewish camp. So till the Eden went through, it kept piling up to let the Eden through. Divrei Reb Yehuda. Amalei Reb Elazar, Reb Shimon, Reb Elazar, Reb Shimon said to him, Lidvorecha, according to you, I have a question to ask you. Adam kal, or mayim kal? What goes quicker, water or man? Heavy Yaima, you'll agree that mayim kalim, that the water goes quicker, moves quicker than man. Then, if it only waited 12 mil, according to you, that there's not enough time, the water will pile up quicker than it'll take for all the thousands of Jews to go through. Ella Malamed, Shahaya, Mayim, Negroshim, Va'aylim, Keepim, Agabi Keepim. There was miles on top of miles of water. Yes, Mishresh Meis mil, more than 300 mil. Ad Sharo, Oisam, Kol, Malchi, Mizrach, and all the kings from the whole world saw that mountain of water. Shenam Meshet Pasuk, Vayik Shmaya Kol Malchi HaMayri, Asher Beiva Yadain, Yama, V'chol Malchi HaKnani, Asher Arayam, Eis Asher Hayvish Hashem, what the Abish dried up is Mei Yadin, Mipnei B'nei Yisrael, Ad Avram. The water that he dried up in a mountain till all the Jews passed. Vayimas Levavam, the Goyim, their hearts melted. In other words, they collapsed. V'hoyabem oy ruach mipnei b'nei Yisrael. V'af rochav hazayna, when Yeshua sent the shluchim to Eretz Yisrael, they stood in the place of rochav hazayna. Amr, she said l'shlucha Yeshua, that we know that you're going to take over. How do we know you're going to take over? Because the Abish is with you. Ki Shomanu, we heard Eisa Shahayvish Hashem Esmei Yamsuf Uksiv Vanishma. We heard Vayomas Levavenu Lekoma Oid. We couldn't stand anymore for frightened. We collapsed. Yes, Dr. Gemara. Oidam Bayarden, while the Jews were still in the Yarden, you have to understand. So the Gemara is going right now and telling us that when the water, when the Kainim went in front with the Aron, as soon as they stepped into the Yarden, it dried up. No water came in. And the water that was in there kept moving ahead. So it made space for the Yidden to go. So he says, Oidem b'yadin, Omelem Yeshua. Yeshua said, you should know, Ama atam reivus hayadin, Al menashe terishu sheyesh v'oretz nechem. The purpose that you're crossing the Yarden is in order to chase out those people that are living there. Shenema v'irashtem es kol yesh v'oretz nechem. Im atam oisim kain is mutav. V'im rav bo mayim v'shoytwin oisechem. In fact, the Gemara, it should have said eschem. What's oisechem? My oisechem, oisiva eschem. And Oidem b'Yarden, while they were still in the Yarden, marching through the Yarden, Omrem Yeshua said to them, Harim lechem ish, let each man, not each man from all the men, but another group of men, 12 men, Evan achaz al shechmai, let each one pick up a stone on his shoulder, L'mispa shifta Yisrael. Now there's 12 Shvatim or 13 Shvatim, depends how you want to count Yosef. And Iksiv, why do you want, what was the story with the stones? Iksiv, Leman, Tia Zois, Ois Bekebachem, that there should be a sign, Ki Yishalon Benechem Mocha, Lema, when your children will ask you, Ma Avonim Ha'elochem, Simen Lubonim, She'ovri Yisrael Hayadin. They set them up in the Yarden, so everyone could see it in the Yarden. So they'll ask you, what are those stones in the Yarden? They'll say, this was a simon that the Yidden passed, because otherwise how could the stones suddenly stand up one on top of another in the Yarden? Oidem b'Yarden, while they were in the Yarden, is Omer Lehem Yeshua. Yeshua said to them, Sulachem mizeh mitoich hayadin, mimatzev raglei akahanim hochen, from another thing said that take from where the kahanim are standing in the yard, take from there, shteim esrei avonim, va'avartem oisem imochem, v'inachtem oisem b'molen. That's another set of stones that you take it with you. B'molen is the hotel where you'll be staying when you come into Eretz Yisrael. B'molen in the hotel, ashetelinu by halayla, where you'll spend the night. Yochel, I would think that Yeshua meant to say, till they'll settle, they'll have to stay a few nights in a hotel, or as they're traveling, every new occasion they'll sleep over. So Yochel, I would think b'chol molen or molen that they should do this here. Talmud Reima shetalinu by halayla. Let the Gemara. Omer Rabbi Yehuda, Abba Chalafta, ve'Rabbi Elazar ben Masya, ve'Chananya ben Chaninoi, Omdu al Oisem Avonim. They evaluated those stones, and Vishiarum, and they approximated. They didn't have exact measure. I mean, maybe today they have instruments how to do this, but they didn't have measures but they approximated that kol achos b'achos shikul kaboim so. Each one had the weight, or was the size that would take to put 40 so. Tremendous stones and very difficult stones. Ugemidi, and we learned the tu'una the mali inish lekasrei tilsa the tu'una havi. In other words, if you have to pick up a stone, there's a difference if you pick it up or someone helps you. If you have to pick up a stone and put on your shoulder, you can't pick up a very heavy stone. What is the difference? So there's a rule. The rule is 1 to 3. In other words, if you could pick up a stone yourself and put it on your shoulder, it weighs 1 pound. So if someone helps you with the stone, you could even do it only 3 pounds. In other words, it means to say that if over here there were people that were able to pick up this stone, and this stone was 40 saw, so imagine, let's say, if someone helped them, how much could these people carry? These are strong giants. How much could they carry? 120 saw, right? So the Gemara says, now if you make that calculation, you can calculate the eshkol. By the eshkol, when Moshe sent the shluchim to Eretz Yisrael, and they brought back eshkol was a cluster of grapes. So Sheva Yisrael b'moed b'shnayim. They said they carried b'moed b'shnayim. Now, in order to carry something on a stick, you need 2 people because a stick has 2 ends. So, why does it say b'yisrael b'moed b'shnayim? It's understood. If I use Yisrael b'moed is b'shnayim. Now, what happened over here was Mimash v'shnema b'moed ein yedeya sheshnayim. I know that's 2. My Talmud Leimer b'shnayim. So he says b'shnei maitis. They had 2 sticks. In other words, they had 2 sticks, so there was more than 2 people. Each 2 actually means that there was a total of 4 sticks. Now, how you get a total of 4 sticks? There's different pshatim in it, but if you look on the side of Gemara, they give you one picture over here. This is not necessarily, you don't have it?
No.
Okay, some say, according to Rashi, it was on an angle. So there was 2 angles. There's different pictures. But the bottom line, it comes down to 8 people. This cluster of grapes was carried on a few sticks, and they needed 8 people to do it. Now, so you can calculate if one person could pick up 40 saw, and here you had 2 people, so each 2 people picked up 120 saw. Imagine how heavy that cluster of grapes was. So there it says, so my Talmud b'shnayim, b'shnei maitis, there were 2 sticks, Omer Rav Yitzchak, Turtini v'Turtuni d'Turtuni. It means that not just 2 sticks, everything was double. Double sticks and double people. That means 4 sticks and 8 people. Ketzad, Shmoina Nasa Eshkol Echad, 8 carried a cluster, and Echad Nasa, they were 12 shluchim, right? So 8 did, what did the other 4 do? So Echad Nasa Riman, 1 carried a pomegranate, the Echad Nasa Daina, 1 carried a fig. But Yeshua v'Kol Avoy Nasu Klum, they refused to carry. Why did they refuse to carry? Inami, one reason is Mishum de Chashivit, since they nika passed. They were the choshes from them. What are they? Movers? They're not movers. And v'boy seima shahoyu ba'oisa eitza, that they weren't in that eitza. They didn't agree with them. They knew that they're taking it to talk against that Yisrael, so they didn't agree with them, and therefore they didn't carry. Okay, we'll stop over here.